Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to crack open the mind of a top-tier AI professional. We're going way beyond just the code to reveal the actual playbook they use to design, to lead, and to deliver AI solutions that have a massive impact.
So you might be wondering, what really sets an expert apart? Well, it's not just about knowing the latest models or writing super clean code. It's a whole other level of thinking. It's this unique blend of deep technical skill, sharp strategy, real leadership, and just a relentless focus on business results. For this explainer, we got our hands on a real interview guide for a senior AI architect role. And by breaking down the questions and the sort of perfect answers, we can actually reverse engineer the core principles that drive these elite technical leaders. You know, it's kind of like getting a peek at their notes right before the big exam.
All right, let's dive right in, starting at the very beginning. How an expert actually frames their own story. And let me tell you, this isn't just a simple introduction. No, this is the foundation of their entire professional identity.
You know, when you ask an expert to tell me about yourself, they don't just list off their old jobs. They use this really powerful, simple formula. They start with a core tech skill, say system design. Then they layer on a leadership skill, and then they immediately back it up with a concrete project. Something like, I'm a system designer who's great at leading cross-functional teams, and on the Verlin AI project, I led the group that boosted user engagement by 30%. It's a story, you see, not just a resume.
The really crucial insight here is that a top architect is basically wearing three hats at the same time. They have to be a translator, someone who can speak both the language of business and the language of tech. They're an architect, obviously, designing the blueprints for these really complex systems, and they're a leader, making sure the team actually gets it built on time and, most importantly, delivers results you can actually measure.
And this quote just sums it all up perfectly. Every single skill, every project, every technical choice has to connect back to one big idea: building AI that creates tangible, measurable value for the business. That's the bottom line. End of story.
Okay, let's move on. Let's see how this thinking scales up from a personal pitch to making huge decisions for an entire organization. Because a real expert doesn't just manage one project, they're actually shaping the company's entire strategic direction for AI.
So, picture this. You've got a bunch of different AI ideas on the table. How in the world do you pick the right one? Well, experts don't guess. They use a weighted scoring system just like this one. It forces everyone to have a really honest conversation about what truly matters. In this case, ROI is king, right? This aligns everybody and makes sure you're applying your priorities consistently.
And here's that framework in action. Just look at how it transforms what could be a really subjective, emotional debate into a data-driven choice. I mean, sure, Project B looks pretty feasible, but Project A, it just crushes it on the things that matter most, that ROI and strategic fit. That's why it gets the 8.2. The final decision becomes totally transparent and, maybe more importantly, defensible.
So, with the what and the why all decided, let's zoom in on the how. Because a great strategy is pretty much useless without flawless technical execution. This is where the architect really rolls up their sleeves and gets their hands dirty.
When it comes to picking an AI model, an expert knows it's never about grabbing the biggest or the best one from some leaderboard. No way. It's always a series of trade-offs. The right choice is all about the specific business problem, the budget you have for computing power, and this is a big one, how easy it's going to be to maintain and keep it compliant down the road.
So how do you actually prove that you made the right choice? You measure everything. Before you even write a line of code, you figure out your baseline. What's our performance right now? For a project like Verlin AI, maybe that's a 2% portfolio ROI. Then, after the AI is live, you measure again. That jump to 10%, that's not just a number on a chart, that is undeniable proof of value.
You know, deploying a model isn't the finish line. It's actually the starting gun. The world is always changing, so the AI has to change with it. A top architect builds a living, breathing MLOps cycle. The system is constantly watching its own performance, and if accuracy dips below a certain point, let's say 85%, it automatically kicks off a retraining and redeployment process. The AI basically keeps itself sharp.
And finally, let's look at what might just be the most critical skills of all. And these have less to do with the machines and everything to do with people. We're talking communication, risk management, and leadership.
This slide is so important. An amateur talks about what the tech is. Our new NLP model achieved a high Rouge score, and crickets. An expert, on the other hand, talks about what the tech does. This tool reads reports for you, cutting your manual work by 40%. They translate complexity into clarity. They turn technical metrics into business impact that any stakeholder, from finance to marketing, can immediately understand and get behind.
A great architect is also a great protector. They see the risks coming before they become problems. Everything from model bias to people just not using the new tool. And as you can see, they have a whole playbook ready to go. They use specific strategies, like dataset audits with toolkits like IBM's AIF 360, or that automated monitoring we just talked about. This isn't about reacting to fires. It's about building a fireproof system.
So when you put it all together, this is what the modern AI architect looks like. They are so much more than just a builder. They are a strategic partner, a data-driven decision maker, a master translator, and a guardian. They don't just build smart systems, they build systems that are safe, sustainable, and fundamentally valuable.
What this playbook really shows us is that the best architects are already thinking way beyond what's just technically possible. They're focused on what's strategically right, what's valuable, and what's safe. It shows us how they think, but it leaves us with an even bigger question to chew on. As AI continues to build our future, who really should be responsible for drawing the blueprints?